Hi there everybody, it's just after 2:30 on Tuesday afternoon, the 11th of August, and I'd like to follow up the previous snip where we discussed the beginnings of economic fascism in Ireland, and I'd just like to clarify something if I could. Basically, when I'm talking about aspects of fascism, they manifest themselves as a duality. And what happens historically, anyway, what has happened in the past, in all of the manifestations of fascism that are clear, and the ones certainly that have been studied at great length in Europe, the ideological manifestation comes well before the method. And by that I mean, if you think about Hitler joined the National Socialist Party around about 1919, 1920, and within a year he was its leader. And then they had the attempted putsch, and he went to jail, and he wrote Mein Kampf and was in jail. So what was happening, and then eventually in 1933 he did manage to come to power democratically in Germany. But what was happening for those 13 years was, the building up of an ideological base, and the clarifying of the sort of ideological raison d'etre for his party, and it's the whole focus of it. And obviously the early part of those 13 years was this ramp up of ideological ideas and the clarification of them, and then when that was considered to be at a certain stage, moved forward into the practicalities of fascism, and it began to manifest itself in the German streets and their behaviour towards Jews and Jew baiting and homosexuality and various people that they thought were unsavoury. And I just hope in Ireland that we don't go beyond the stage that we're at the moment, which is basically a tinkering or an experimentation with the ideological elements of fascism, where the corporate powers and state powers come together, and the state becomes subordinate to the authority of the corporations. And while we're at that at the moment, as I say, I hope it just doesn't go any further. The other thing I'd like to discuss is I was reading the newspapers over the weekend, and I saw a very interesting article, and what it was in the Irish Times, and it was an article about BERTIE AHERN, and really what it was AHERN. It was a self-praise article, and based on, he didn't write the article for the newspaper. The article in the newspaper was a commentary on a radio show which BERTIE AHERN had done on a radio 106, a news talk show called 106 FM, and he did it sometime last week in the morning, and I think a lady called Claire Byrne interviewed him, and I just thought it was very, very interesting, because this is a man who, while I call him a bumbling fool, in reality is a super cute whore. And he doesn't really do anything out of hand. He doesn't do anything by accident. And I think that he realizes that there's ever a distinct possibility that we could be heading for a general election, and he would like to fly the BERTIE flag. And I don't really want to go into all the ramifications of BERTIE AHERN and his 11 years while he was Taoiseach of Ireland. I've done that in a few other clips. But all I would like to say about him is just a couple of things, just very, very quickly. A few years back I was at a New Year's Eve party, and I met a teacher from Cabra. And the teacher told me that he was in a secondary school, a teacher in a secondary school. Now, if you know, BERTIE AHERN represents Dublin, the Dublin North, the central area of Dublin, most of the north side of the city. And anyway, this particular teacher was from Cabra, and he told me that they did an analysis of children coming into the site. Now, this is a secondary school teacher. They did an analysis, and 64% of the children couldn't read or write who came into Cabra, the school. And he said that this had been, generally the case for many years within this particular school. And he said that they spent their whole time, they weren't able to educate these children. These children, basically, if you haven't learned the basics of reading, writing, and arithmetic, I reckon by the time you're 10, it's extremely difficult after that to acquire these sort of skills. And anyway, basically what it turned out, I then met a sociologist from Trinity College later that year, and basically what the outcome of it was that the highest criminality in Ireland was found also in the north part of Dublin. Now, Bertie Ahern represented that constituency for 30 years, from 1981, I think. So it's almost 30 years that he represented that constituency. And I think it's a reflection of someone who, for 11 of those years, held the most powerful position in the whole of the country. And yet, he has one of the highest rates of illiteracy within the country among the youth of his constituency. And he has the highest criminality rate of it within the country. So I think that's a reflection of what he's about. The other thing that I'd like to say is that when this particular man is cornered, or when he's challenged directly, he does, the mask tends to slip, and we do see the real Bertie Ahern emerge. And this happened about 2 years ago, and an economic commentator made some comment about our national debt and about the situation that we were heading towards. And Ahern rounded on this man. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was done in the Dáil. And he basically said that anyone who spoke down about our country and about its economic status should seriously give consideration to committing suicide. Now, this is not some corner boy stuff. This is the head of a sovereign republic speaking about the citizens of the republic who he's responsible for. And finally, I'd like to just talk about Charles J. Haughey and Bertie Ahern. And I don't want to go into all the nuances of Charles J. Haughey, except to say that Charles J. Haughey by far was the most evil individual we have ever had as a leader of this country. And this was a man dedicated to self-gratification, a Republican whose hero was Napoleon Bonaparte, the great anti-Republican. But anyway, he described, I don't want to go into Charles J. Haughey, as I say now, we'll maybe do that another day, but he described Bertie Ahern as the most devious and the most cunning of them all. I don't know whether or not he said that as a recommendation for Mr. Ahern, but or maybe it's a straight quote. Maybe it is. We should take it for what it sounds like. A direct observation by one couture about another one. And finally, I'd like to say that this is a big day for our country. This is the big day when Zoe Developments is in the Supreme Court, and the whole NAMA project has been held up and been examined by the outcome of this particular case. And as we've said in the previous, I don't want to prejudice anything in the Supreme Court, but I have a terrible funny feeling that our government will still be on holidays because they won't have to worry. The NAMA project will be solvent and will move on to its very next step. And anyway, we speak tomorrow maybe about something else as it crops up. Thank you.